is Kieran McGurk's. In a landmark decision, the Attorney General from Northern Ireland has ordered new inquests for victims of the McGurk's bar massacre. 15 civilians, including 2 children, were murdered in the no-warning Loyalist bomb attack on McGurk's bar on 4th of December 1971. Despite forensic and witness evidence, and before the families had even identified all their loved ones, the police and British Army blamed the victims for the atrocity. The families have long suspected that the British Armed Forces had foreknowledge of the attack and or could have prevented it. The Attorney General for Northern Ireland, Brenda King, informed the family of Edward and Sarah Keenan that she had considered the submissions and documents provided and has decided that it is advisable to order a new inquest into their deaths. I submitted a file of new evidence that I have compiled over many years through archive research and public records and targeted requests via the Freedom of Information Act. This new evidence included secret British military logs which previous historical investigations either missed or deliberately ignored. These logs pinpointed the location of British Army observation posts, including a covert ambush observation post in the vicinity of the massacre. The British Armed Forces had previously denied the presence of any of its units in the area. Now, the Attorney General informed us, quote, investigation of the actions or inactions of the Army in the period before the bombing occurred is incomplete. It is apparent from copies of the military logs shared with the Attorney that there were military observation posts near to the area where the Keenans met their deaths. The Attorney agrees that it seems that the Historical Inquiries team did not access all the available records before reaching this conclusion that there was no intelligence received prior to the bombing which could have prevented the murders. The Attorney General also notes that the Historical Inquiries team report has now been quashed by the High Court, and so reliance cannot in any event properly be placed on its findings. The Attorney General considers that an inquest would provide a forum in which the actions of the Army prior to the bombing could be explored. The Attorney General's decision to order a new inquest comes days before Britain's Disgraceful Legacy Act on May the 1st, 2024, which will deny the families of the McGurk's Bar massacre and hundreds of bereaved families like ours any inquest whatsoever. Jared Keenan was 13 years of age when he was orphaned and watched the recovery of bodies from McGurk's Bar. This is what he said.
Our families welcome the historic decision of the Attorney General to direct a new inquest, as all the families have campaigned with great dignity for over 52 years for scraps of truth and justice from the British state. Like many other bereaved families now, we face the reality that the British state will not allow this inquest to go ahead, as it desperately wants to stop us from discovering why our loved ones were murdered in the McGurk's Bar massacre and how it failed to prevent it.
Even before we buried our loved ones in the dark days of 1971, the British state buried the truth. The British state's Shameful Legacy Act in 2024 is another attempt by a serial human rights abuser to bury the truth. Our families will not roll over and surrender to this latest British attack on our basic human rights. We will continue to fight for equal access to due process of the law and demand an Article 2 compliant inquest. We reject any attempt by the British state to dress up the likes of the so-called Independent Commission for Reconciliation and Information Recovery as a substitute for a proper, just investigation. And be assured that my work too will continue unabated.